yeah, my name's Richard Upton, and I'm a property developer, which is an addiction in my case, but professionally speaking, I'm a development surveyor, which means, from my point of view at least, I was brought up to look at things and to try and see things and to try and make them better. So I've been asked by Matt and Thomas and the Humanise team to explain to you, particularly those involved in research, neuroscience, and those elements, the process of the development cycle, from land acquisition to the long-term management of place, to illustrate that with some of my projects and point in that cycle where evidence and insight might make a scheme more human and more valuable. So I've got some experience of this, 35 years or so. For my sins, I've built over 10,000 homes, 8,000 or 9,000 student bedrooms. I counted this up recently, fire stations, leisure centres, millions and millions of square feet of stuff. I've put Nipper the dog back into a factory that I bought, his master's voice factory. It's 6 metres high. Nipper the dog makes everyone feel at home, which was quite cool. I built a couple of libraries, which I thought, as I was spinning through it, is an interesting first case study, because in my view, a civic building, a public building, should really be something that's thrilling. You know, it's for everyone. So it should be particularly thrilling. And certainly a library, where the role of a library, even a contemporary library, is to go in, to be wowed into some sense of self-improvement. Sorry. Okay. I always wander around a bit, sorry. Wowed into self-improvement. That's what the Victorians had in mind. And they, commissioned spectacular, extravagant architectural gestures, whether they were town halls or swimming pools or museums, most of them listed now, and I'll come on to heritage later, and listed for good reason. These were monuments to self-improvement. Now, clearly, evidence and insight, Matt, for emotionally inspiring places would be an essential part of the brief, you would have thought. And the brief I took from the London Borough of Lambeth, who, like most local authorities in this country, are bust because the system is broken. They had on this site, Mary Sequel House, it was falling down, costing £500,000 just to keep the building together. And there was a library nearby costing £280,000 a year to run. They didn't have that money. They went to the property industry and said, can you build me a new library on this site, pay for it with some flats above, and then everything will be okay. And it was something called a competitive dialogue process for the architects in the room. So that was really good, because I got to see all the other developers' schemes, which was a bit odd, and ours was the odd one out. The other developers proposed a box with a library, really cost efficient for the model, and wooed and wowed some councillors in the decision-making committee, but I thought that was wrong. Thankfully, we won the bid, and we had a very curvaceous library. There it is, that was paid for with the development above, and we designed in the ability for the council to rent it for public events to mitigate their £280,000 a year. And so that worked very well. Studio Group West with the architects. And there it is, just to the right. The bottom left isn't my building, it's the curvy one. And it was designed as a bookend, like 3 books at the end of a stack. So here I am, come and learn something with cut concrete and stainless steel reveals. And that delivered the council just over £1.5 million of a profit share as well. So it can work. You're going to hear a recurring theme in my 15 or so minutes, Abigail. The evidence and insight is great to police developers through policies and planning, but a developer who feels a compelling responsibility can simply use that evidence to support the briefing to his or her team. And that's a damn sight easier if you can make it happen. So, like we have, as a property industry, as Thomas and Humanise and the campaign note, we've crucified the planet with throwaway architecture, littered the planet with boring, soulless places. And that continues like a pandemic of property mediocrity. And so, neuroscientists in particular, we could usefully educate the property industry with scientific evidence, irrefutable empirical data to help shape and inform the key protagonists in property, how to make places and spaces more human, and they could be tools to inform policies and policing to shape more interesting and sustainable built environment. But just a challenge, since this is a symposium, I didn't know what that meant, but I think it meant we challenge things and ask things. A challenge. You're behind a new MA and other academic programs in joyful architecture at Loughborough University and beyond. Really great, lovely. Looking forward to the output of that. Is it the best place to start? Most great architects I have met, great architects, are believers deep down.